am so happy.
Gloomy said after they hugged and consoled each other.
I feel the same.
Velvet replied, though her smile was faint, weighed down by the pain she couldn't shake from the past. Gloomy's expression softened.
Master.
She hesitated, wanting to cheer her up but realizing that maybe words weren't what Velvet needed.
Some pain needed silence. Master is in deep pain. I saw it when I checked the gun's history.
Gloomy thought to herself, her concern growing. Velvet stood up, glancing around the desolate landscape.
Where are we going now, Gloomy?
Gloomy sensed Velvet's weariness.
Master, I know you want to finish this quickly, but shall we rest for now? I think we both need it.
Velvet sighed, her shoulders dropping slightly.
Yes, you're right. We'll rest for now. Sorry to worry you.
They wandered until they found a quiet spot where no monsters seemed to roam. The stillness of the area felt strangely comforting. Gloomy transformed herself into a soft bed and then extended into a tent, cocooning Velvet from the outside world.
Master, I will keep guard while you sleep.
Gloomy said, gently opening up a part of her body for Velvet to lay on.
I'll be resting too, but I'll sense if anything or anyone comes near.
Thank you, Gloomy. You're so flexible.
Velvet said, a soft, grateful smile gracing her lips. Velvet lay down, her body heavy with exhaustion. The bed was warm and inviting, yet her mind refused to let her sink into peace. After what felt like a few hours, Gloomy stirred suddenly, alert at first, thinking a threat was nearby. But then she noticed Velvet.
Master?
Gloomy whispered. Velvet's body was trembling, her face wet with tears. She tossed and turned, her breath catching as if she was fighting something unseen. Her sobs were quiet but filled with deep sorrow, her chest tightening with each painful memory replaying in her dreams.
Master.
Gloomy murmured, her voice soft with worry.
I don't know how to cheer you up. I'm sorry.
Gloomy watched helplessly, not understanding human emotions fully, but feeling the weight of Velvet's distress. In a desperate attempt to comfort her, Gloomy shifted her form again, extending part of her body to wrap gently around Velvet like an arm.
To comfort a human, you must hug, right? To comfort a human, you must massage like this, to help ease her mind.
Gloomy whispered, focusing on the motion she remembered, carefully massaging Velvet's shoulders, her mind focused solely on calming her. She hoped this simple gesture would ease her master's pain and let her finally find peace in her sleep.
You and me. Forever.
The next day crept in slowly. Velvet's eyes fluttered open, and as consciousness returned, so did the heavy reality. This wasn't some twisted dream she could escape from. It was the brutal truth. She let out a soft sigh, her body still aching with the weight of yesterday's memories. For a moment, she lay there, quietly listening, trying to sense if Gloomy was still asleep. The second she shifted, Gloomy's face popped up, full of life.
Good morning, Master.
Gloomy's voice was bright, overflowing with energy, like she had been waiting for the moment to lift Velvet's spirits. Velvet gave a tired but genuine smile.
Morning. What's with all the energy, girl?
Gloomy tilted her head slightly, noticing Velvet clutching her stomach.
Master, are you hungry?
Yeah.
Velvet admitted, glancing down.
It's been a while since I've had anything.
With a spark of determination, Gloomy perked up.
There's a path nearby with edible fruits and a water source. And maybe monsters you can eat.
Velvet chuckled softly at Gloomy's odd suggestion.
That sounds interesting. Thanks.
They started walking again, slowly descending deeper into the dungeon. The familiar clatter of bones signaled their next challenge, skeleton warriors. Velvet moved without hesitation, her magic flaring up, blasting through enemies with precision. But her mind was elsewhere, her heart heavy with memories she couldn't escape. Beside her, Gloomy handled the majority of the combat, gleefully smashing through lizardmen and ghouls. After a few skirmishes, she struck a triumphant pose.
Master, we make a great team.
Velvet smiled at her, though faint.
Yeah, but maybe don't pose like that.
As they journeyed deeper, they finally reached the area Gloomy had mentioned. A crystal-clear stream flowed through the cavern, and the sight of it made Velvet's heart feel lighter, if only for a moment.
Master, look! A water source. It's safe.
Gloomy pointed out with excitement.
You're always looking out for me, huh?
Velvet said, her voice tinged with both gratitude and lingering sadness. They knelt beside the stream, taking a moment to drink. Velvet's eyes caught sight of some fish swimming in the shallow waters. Her lips twisted into a small smile.
Maybe I can catch some fish.
Her attempts were fruitless, though, her frustration bubbling to the surface as she splashed clumsily at the water.
Fishing sucks. This is harder than it looks.
She muttered, pouting.
I'll do it, Master.
Gloomy chimed in, rushing to help. Velvet couldn't help but laugh, a soft, genuine sound, as she watched Gloomy struggle to catch the slippery fish. It was a rare moment of lightness in an otherwise dark time.
Try acting like a net, Gloomy.
Velvet called out. After what felt like an eternity, Gloomy finally caught a few fish. She held them up proudly, her wide eyes gleaming with satisfaction.
Now we just need to cook them. But how?
Can't we eat them as they are?
Gloomy asked, tilting her head in confusion. Velvet shook her head with a soft chuckle.
No, Gloomy. We need fire to cook them first. It'll taste better, I think.
You think?
Gloomy questioned, raising an eyebrow.
Well, without salt it might not taste great, but it'll be edible.
Velvet admitted.
I see. We can use the light from this dungeon. It has flame magic, right?
You're right. Let's give it a shot.
Gloomy darted off, collecting some wood and igniting it with the dungeon's magic. But when she returned, her excitement faltered. Velvet was sitting on the ground, her eyes hollow, staring blankly at nothing. Silent tears slid down her cheeks.
Master.
Gloomy whispered, her voice trembling slightly. She didn't understand why, but seeing Velvet in pain hurt an unfamiliar ache she couldn't describe. Velvet snapped out of it, quickly wiping her tears away, as if trying to erase any evidence of her breakdown. She stood up, her movements stiff, and washed her face in the stream.
Hey, you're back. And you brought some chicken too. Let's cook everything.
Velvet called out, forcing a smile when Gloomy returned. They roasted the fish and chicken over the makeshift fire. Velvet forced herself to focus on the task, her hands moving methodically. Gloomy, sensing the shift in mood, tried her best to make the process fun, bouncing around with playful energy. Eventually, they both laughed together, Velvet's laughter a little too loud, as though she was trying to push the pain away. But Gloomy could feel something was still wrong. Despite the laughter, something dark lingered in Velvet's eyes. After eating, they sat in silence for a while. Velvet leaned back, staring up at the rocky ceiling, lost in thought. Gloomy quietly watched her, the concern never leaving her.
To the lower levels.
Velvet finally said, her voice firm but hollow as she pointed ahead.
Yes, Master.
Gloomy replied, her tone filled with unwavering support, though her eyes still lingered on Velvet's fragile expression. Gloomy knew her master was strong, but she also knew that strength came at a price. As they rested, Velvet's eyes suddenly lit up with excitement.
Gloomy, I just thought of something.
What is it, Master?
Gloomy responded with her usual enthusiasm, her eyes wide.
What if you could transform into like an exosuit? You know, like Iron Man, but, more Ironed Man? Then I get inside and together we fight. What do you think?
Velvet said, her words tumbling out as if she had just discovered the greatest idea ever. Gloomy stared at her, her expression shifting to one of deep suspicion, her eyes narrowing slightly. For a moment, she seemed lost in thought. Is this Master's way of breaking down? She pondered. Or is this actually a genius plan?
Should I support this?
Gloomy murmured to herself, clearly overthinking the situation. Velvet, still basking in her eureka moment, raised an eyebrow.
What's that? Are you in or what?
After a long pause, Gloomy finally spoke.
Master, perhaps we can try that another day. For now, we need to keep moving.
With that, she turned and floated away, avoiding the idea completely. Velvet blinked, watching her go.
Did she just brush me off?
She muttered to herself, still half convinced her exosuit idea was brilliant.
Master. Just a few more floors, should we rest, or keep moving?
Gloomy asked, her voice full of energy. Velvet, still catching her breath after the battle with the orcs, looked up from where she sat on the ground.
Depends on you. Are you tired?
This place isn't safe, Master.
Gloomy said, scanning their surroundings.
Let's move to another floor. There's an old residential area up ahead.
Old residential area?
Velvet asked, raising an eyebrow.
What is this place anyway?
I'm not entirely sure, Master. I just know it's residential based on what I saw inside you before.
Gloomy admitted sheepishly. Velvet's expression turned stern.
I know you've done that before, but you need to ask for permission next time. You can't just go poking around inside someone without consent. It's wrong.
Gloomy stood still, absorbing the lecture.
Yes, Master. I'm learning.
Velvet sighed, softening her gaze.
Good. Let's go check it out.
She smiled and gave Gloomy a light pat on the head. Gloomy froze for a moment, visibly processing the kindness.
Hey, Gloomy. Let's go.
Velvet called, shaking her head with a slight chuckle. They arrived at the location, a vast, desolate town nestled within a cavern. Buildings of stone and marble, worn by time, stood silent like forgotten sentinels.
Wow.
Velvet muttered, her voice trailing off as she took in the sight.
Just, wow.
Gloomy puffed up with pride.
Amazing, right? This is called euphoria,
She said, flexing a little.
Cut that out. But yeah, those crystals up there. It's like they're mimicking sunlight lighting up the whole town.
Velvet chuckled, shaking her head.
Yes, Master. Those lights will dim when their energy depletes, but they're replaced by smaller crystals nearby.
Gloomy added, clearly proud of her knowledge. Velvet gave her a sideways glance.
You seem to know a lot about this place. Did you live here?
Yes, before I ended up on that floor where you found me.
And how did you get sent to that floor?
I was playing around here when I triggered something. Come, I'll show you.
Gloomy rushed towards a statue at the town center. Velvet followed, inspecting the statue.
So this statue caused it? We better steer clear of it for now. I don't want to end up back at the start and repeat everything.
Yes, Master.
Gloomy nodded seriously, hanging on Velvet's every word. Velvet paused, suddenly realizing.
Wait, have I been giving you lectures this entire time?
I'm learning, Master.
Gloomy replied enthusiastically. Velvet sighed, her lips curling into a smile.
She didn't answer me directly.
They found an empty house nearby, the stone walls crumbling yet still sturdy enough for shelter. The architecture was a blend of medieval styles, with stone arches and Roman-like columns. Velvet walked inside, her fingers brushing along the cool walls.
I have no idea who built this, but it's clear this place was meant for something important. Maybe it holds a secret.
Master is so cool.
Gloomy exclaimed, watching her pose heroically in the middle of the room. Velvet was about to respond when Gloomy noticed something down the street.
Master, look! There's a building with lots of books. A library.
Velvet perked up.
Books, really? Lead the way.
They rushed toward the library, but as they entered and Velvet grabbed one of the ancient texts, her excitement faded.
I can't read any of this. Looks important, but it's not in any language I know.
Master, this is a great discovery.
Gloomy tried to reignite her enthusiasm.
Yeah, but what good is it if I can't read it? Someone or something would have to transcribe this to my language.
Velvet said, her interest waning.
You're right, Master. But I'll learn it one day. I promise.
Gloomy said, beaming with determination. Velvet gave her an amused look.
I know you will. For now, though, let's head back. I'm hungry. Let's settle at that house and rest for a bit.
Okay, Master.
Gloomy said, eagerly following her back. They returned to the stone house, settling in for the night. Velvet leaned back against the wall, looking up at the artificial sun hanging high above them. A part of her felt a strange sense of peace in this forgotten place, while another part wondered what more this mysterious dungeon held. As the crystals above began to dim, the two prepared for a quiet rest, unaware of what new secrets the dungeon would reveal in the coming days.
See you in the next chapter.
Thank you for the support. Have a great day.